So once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, from whichever part of the world you are joining us today. And very excited to host you all for today's session on mastering test management the BrowserStack way. And I think next slide, Supadan. So yeah, so I think quick introduction about myself. So my name is Ankur. I have over 13 years of work experience, and 9+ years, particularly in like product management space. And I work as a senior manager of product management at BrowserStack. I've been here for over a year, and I lead a product team for our test management product, which was like recently made generally available to all our customers. I have Arpit, who is joining us today to have a engaging fireside session today. I think over to you, Arpit, for a quick intro.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Arpit Patel, QA Engineering Manager at Instawork. Thank you, Ankur, for inviting me for this webinar, and I'm really glad to be here. A little about myself. I've worked with various startups in past. I have around 9 years of experience. Uh, I have helped building QA teams, building the QA processes, and also built out quite a few automation frameworks end to end, like from building the framework to the CDCI pipeline piece. I'm very passionate about quality and how we deliver our product to the end users. That's a little bit about side. Thanks, Ankur, again. We can start.
Thanks, Arpit, for an awesome introduction. I think a couple of housekeeping items before we move ahead. So the session will run for 60 minutes, and the participants will be muted. You will so that speakers can continue to engage without any interruption. There will be a dedicated Q&A that we'll be doing at the end of the session. But feel free to post any questions that you might have related to our conversation or any other question otherwise in the Q&A window below. And the session is being recorded, so we'll be sharing the session link post the webinar completes with all of you. Right? So quick agenda for today's webinar. We will of course have a fireside session with Arpit, and I will be talking about some of the test management related topics. We will go over a quick demo of BrowserStack test management product. We will also talk about the product roadmap that we have for this product for coming few months. And towards the end, we will just get started with the Q&A. Right? I think so. Before we start the webinar, we'll just want to quickly start with a quick poll question to understand how you currently like manage your test cases and test runs. So a poll will show up on your screens. I just request you to quickly fill it up, and then we can get started. All right, I think we'll just get started. I think Arpit, so yeah, pleasure to be talking to you. Thanks a lot for joining in. I think before we begin and go deeper into discussing and understanding about test management space altogether, I would just like to know from you and from your experience, like why do QA teams even need a test management solution in first place, right? I mean, is it not possible to manage your day-to-day testing activities without a full-fledged test management solution? How do you see this entire kind of need or a necessity to have a solution in place?
Yep. I think as everyone know, like QA is a gatekeeper to the company, right? Any product that we are shipping. So QA is the one who takes care of the quality of the product and make sure that we deliver a quality product to the end users, right? So as a QA, everyone has to be very exhaustive and thorough with the features that we are releasing so that we don't leak out any bugs going forward in our rollout process and impact the users at a major level. I believe if you are a very small organization with a very small team, it can still be managed without having a test management. But as soon as you release out the MVP, right? As soon as you release just a one version of your software. It would become very difficult to manage out the feature rollouts and what to cover overall within the test of the features. So I believe like that's the one thing uh, that's the one thing why QA needs the test management tool overall within the QA cycle.
So I think as you mentioned, as the team size grows, you find the need for a specialized solution, right, for managing day-to-day testing activities. So what are some of the core problems that QA teams face as the size increases, right, which
Yeah.
it compels them to like look for a solution?
Yep. So the first thing is like as the size grows, right? The number of features within the product also grows. So it becomes very difficult for a QA member to remember every single piece of features within that product. So that's the one core challenge, like what knowing what to test when we are doing a feature testing of a particular product, right? So basically, every QA person uh, should have an idea what to cover within the testing part and make it more efficient going forward. So that's one of the problem. And as a QA manager, right? Another problem that comes up is how to organize this test so that the QA manager can help out the QA engineers to uh, target the specific tests that we are planning to cover within the feature testing, right? So these are some of the core challenges that we would face out. And going forward, also, it might be very difficult to search the test cases related to a specific feature. While doing a regression, you might have to do the entire and cover the entire testing of the product, right? So apart from these two challenges, there are a couple of minor challenges as well, like addressing out the duplicacy of test cases within the test management, and also little bit on integration with bug tracking tool and similar items. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I think I can totally correlate with some of the conversations that we have been doing at BrowserStack with some of our early adopters of test management solution, right? So, like, how do you see adoption of some of the existing solutions out there in the market? And we recently just showed up a poll for all our attendees, and we can see some of the responses coming in for different tools that uh, uh, the attendees are using right now, right? And so, how do you see adoption of these different tools spanning out, right? And there is just too many solutions out there. How does one decide, and what is the way out?
Yeah, yeah. I agree. There are so many tools right now for test management piece, and it might be very difficult to figure out which is the right one, which is the bad one, sort of, and classify that which suits your needs, sort of. So basically, as we discussed out the challenges itself, right? So first phase is identifying those challenges, and then uh, discussing out with the team and figuring out like what are the core tools that would serve these challenges, right? There are like two major categories of tools that I have worked with in past. So one that belongs into the SaaS offerings. SaaS offerings, basically, these are the tools that allows you to host the test case management repository on their cloud, and it can be shared as simple as like SCM within the coding space. So this SaaS offerings, there are options like TestRails, QTest, PractiTest, TestPad, and I have worked with most of them. And it's difficult for everyone to figure out like which one suits which organization and things like that. And there is a second category that is basically the native Jira applications. So these are the integrations within the Jira itself, Jira space itself. So a couple of them are like Zephyr and X-Rays. Um, I haven't worked in detail with these tools probably, and I might not have more insights on them. But I have worked majorly on the SaaS offerings, and they have worked really well, sort of, for us. Yeah.
So thanks, Arpit. I think so. Yeah, I think that sets a good context of what kind of solutions exist out there. And when you talk about BrowserStack test management in particular, like what was your experience in around using this particular offering that, like I mentioned, is now generally available for all our customers? What are some of the key features that really stood out for you when you tried out this product?
Yeah, I'm really glad that BrowserStack is building this tool. As lately, I have experienced that this market has been saturated a little bit, right? So there is a need of development in every space. It's really good that BrowserStack is tackling this problem out. And talking about my experience itself, it was really smooth. Overall experience of onboarding our new test cases onto the tool. They were very easy to do it, and basically, I used a couple of features on the browser test management tool. One of them was like importing our existing test cases to the test management tool, and it worked like a charm. So it was very straightforward to do, and we can simply get started. And the UI looks very clean. It's very user friendly. There's very little learning curve around the tool.
Got it. So I think what you're sharing is that it was quite easy for you to get started from your current solution to BrowserStack test management solution because of a easy import option.
Yeah, yeah.
So can you explain a little more on that one? Like how was the entire experience around it?
Yeah, so basically we tried importing in two ways, sort of. So one is like simple CSV import itself. So you take a dump from existing tools like may it be Google Sheet or may it be like a SaaS product. You can simply download the CSV and you can import it, and you can also play around with what kind of fields you want to set out into the tool, and that made it very easy to import, and it took like very few minutes as well to import the entire repository of our test cases, and it was very fluent. Yeah.
So good to know, Arpit. I think thanks for sharing that. So and like when you talk about integrations, right? I think any test management solution has to necessarily integrate with the ecosystem out there that exists, right? Whether it's project management tools or it's automation frameworks or CI/CD pipeline. So, how was your experience when you tried out Browser test management, and how effective was it in terms of providing such kind of integrations or visibility and collaboration across different testing activities that are part and parcel of any QA team out there?
Yeah, yeah. I believe like the offerings that BrowserStack has created, they are really good, sort of. Uh, it also works really well with the automated test reports. Basically, you can just simply upload your CLI test reports, and it can take care of it. And I believe like there are like 10 to 15 frameworks that are supported currently. So all you need to do is basically you have to upload a JUnit based XML or like BDD JSON based format, and it analyzes the entire report of your test and gives you a detailed view about your test. Another thing I think that stood out was the test case tagging as well. So basically when you try to re-upload your test again and again, duplicate tests, it doesn't create a new test case every time within the system. It might be just tagging it based on the previous test runs. Yeah.
Got it, Arpit. Thank you so much. I think uh, specifically around project management integration or the bug tracking tool integration, we see it's tracking issues is like table stakes kind of a thing for any QA team, right? To probably link your test cases with a particular Jira story or any defect tracking tool that you might be managing at your or using at your organization, right? So how
Yeah.
do you see integration, particularly with Jira, that we offer at BrowserStack Test Management?
Yeah, I believe like the challenge that every QA team faces, right, is to share out like whether this test run is having XYZ failures when you do a release within your organization, right? You have to create the test runs. You have to also assign any issues that are found within the test runs, right? Now the whole challenge becomes when there are multiple stakeholders within this release side, right? There are product managers, there are developers, there are QA engineers. So the binding that BrowserStack has created about the two-way Jira binding, so that worked really well, sort of, and it solves this problem itself, where you don't have to you don't have to worry about like whether if I update it in the test run itself, whether it would be visible on the Jira side or not, right? It does that part. It is also enabling the QA team member to create the test runs on the fly from Jira directly so that it gets reflected on the test run on the test board itself so that everything is shared between the QA team members, the entire software development lifecycle, basically.
Got it. I think to re-emphasize that this particular point, I think there's a question from Vedal. Just 1 second. Yeah, so I think Vedal has asked this question: how to manage test cases in agile team, right? So I think agile teams would be shipping features quite frequently. They'll be tracking the performance of test executions in their Jira kind of uh, defect tracking tools. I think in this particular scenario, what would you comment about agile teams specifically, how they track and maintain and update their test cases?
Yeah, I believe like it would be very difficult for the agile team to do it because like everyone is working on similar sort of pieces of product. But there are a couple of ways to do it. One, I think you can set a predefined process on your QA team side that keep regularly updating the test cases. Maybe set out 30 minutes meeting within the QA team and do a follow up every release after every release that you do so that whenever you are doing a release, right, you have a test runs that you want to execute and then basically do a debrief of those and sync out within the Jira space. And I think the binding that is been offered, right? So if you are working with multiple tickets, right, you can create multiple test runs and it could reflect directly on the test management tool so that as a QA manager or as a QA lead, right, you can have a holistic view of those test runs, and you can also basically track out like what are the test runs that are being running into the running phase and what are the bugs, and those get linked out a reverse way as well.
Got it. Okay. Thanks, Arpit. I think an important I think offering for any test management solution is what kind of metrics and analytics you provide to uh, QA leaders, QA managers particularly, right? So that they can take actionable insights from such kind of reporting, right?
Yeah.
So can you share some tips on how test management processes can enhance visibility and reporting to ensure smoother and more efficient testing activity?
Yeah. So QA team, usually every QA engineers, they have two sides of role, right? One is manual side and another is automation side, right? So manual side deals with more on the testing aspects, right? What kind of test cases do we have within our repository? Like whether they are functional, whether they are security based, whether they are functional, or whether they are API based, right? So one of the core role from the manual testing side is basically you can classify this kind of test cases and then figure out what's the progress around those, right? As a manual QA engineer, if I'm missing performance testing or API testing aspect, so by seeing this kind of data onto the dashboard of the test management tool, you can figure out like whether to start a separate process for building out such test cases, bringing that, uh, taking an example of performance test cases, right? Bringing the whole idea of performance testing into your agile team and making it as a part of your QA process, basically. And second part on to the manual side itself is, you also want to track out like what are the trends of the test cases, right? Uh, there are set of features, right, that can have some buggy areas more frequently than others, right? So you can also figure out like whether this feature has more bugs in the past and they are also having more issues in the current run, right? Then you can target those and identify those pieces into the manual side of things. And talking about the automation side, one of the key things that I look after is the classification of these test cases, whether they are automated or whether they are not automated, and basically uh, getting the data of such matrix or building out such stats. It's a easy step to move forward.
Sure, Arpit. I think just before we move forward, a request for all the attendees is to post their questions in the Q&A window. Please avoid posting questions in the chat. That way we'll be able to address them towards the end of the session better, right? So I think, yeah, Arpit, regarding dashboards and analytics, how was your personal experience around the reports and metrics that we are right now showing in BrowserStack test management? Did it address some of the concerns that you just now talked about, like manual uh, test executions, automation test executions, or the automation coverage, some of those things? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the dashboard really gives you a bird eye view of how good your feature looks like. So when I tried the dashboard feature, I tried creating a couple of test runs for our release side, right? So I was able to figure out this couple of points, a couple of challenges that we faced earlier. So one of them was like the testing aspect itself, like on onto the chart side, right? It shows out like how many exact number of test cases are there of this aspect, whether it's a functional, whether it's a security, whether it's performance, and so on, right? It gives you a bang on stats on it, and also basically giving the trend of how many test runs are passed, how many test runs are open, closed, and the stats around that. And also onto the automation side, right? As I mentioned earlier, one of the key metrics is to is to track what are the numbers of test cases that you have automated or you want to automate, right? So basically, you can set the goals within your company side. Like for this quarter, I'll try to focus on the improvement of the automation coverage, right? From 30% we want to move to 60%, and we can also track out based on platforms, web, Android, iOS, however we want, and then we can set out a different set of goals around that.
Sure. Thanks, Arpit. I'm just responding to a query around, I think, for a demo. So yes, folks will be having a short demo of test management at the end of the webinar and fireside chat session with Arpit. So just stay tuned for the demo. I think, yeah, so thanks, Arpit, for summing that experience around dashboards and analytics around browser test management. And I'll be covering some of those metrics also during the short demo that I talked about. So I think now we have understood, if I sum it up, we have understood what are the core problems that a test management solution solves. How does integrations work out? How do integrations work out in this space? What are the metrics that matter? Where do we stand in terms of attacking some of those problems? Uh, so if a fresh QA team is starting out there to evaluate possible test management solutions, right? Or there is an existing team who's already using a test management offering, but they're not happy with it, right? How do they decide what is the next tool that they should switch to, right? What are the factors that they should keep in mind uh, before deciding what tool will be best for their needs?
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought this question up. We recently did this similar kind of evaluation where we were using one tool and we wanted to try to figure out like what the challenges that we are facing. We want to address those in the newer tool that we are going to select out. So I believe there are like 5 or 6 aspects that could
Yeah, just Arpit, sorry for interruption. What is the tool in case you feel like sharing? What is the tool you moved from?
we were using testpad.
Okay,
Yeah, so it was a very basic tool. Sort of, it just gives you a notepad kind of a structure, and you can tabularize the whole format. But the whole challenge was like to figuring out how to search a bucket of test cases, then create test runs, and then also there were some challenges around creation of limits to how many test runs we create within a one project and things like that.
got it.
Yeah. So yeah, coming back to the original question, I believe there are like 5, 6 key factors in my opinion. So first one I would say uh, is the UX, the user experience itself. So oftentimes the QA team, they want to spend time more on testing the feature rather than to work on a tool and spend more time and focus on and basically the tool that we are evaluating, right? So it should consume very less time within your testing process, and it should be very easy to use, sort of. And there shouldn't be any UX level issues like searching a test case, or basically adding a new test case, adding information to existing one. So this is like the user experience side of parameters that I would consider. And second, as I mentioned, right, the limitation of test run creation within the project itself. So again, like being in a agile team, right? You might have a lot more QA members who would try to create test runs for their individual features, and then you would want to have a holistic view of how many test runs are being created, what are the progress of it, and what are the issues that are being flagged within those test runs. And third, for me, is matrix and reporting. So some stats that you can share it with your stakeholders, like the product team, engineering team, about the releases that you are doing, right? Constant updation of reporting, and also the stats that we discussed about on the BrowserStack dashboard piece, right? How many test cases are automated? What's our testing aspect tracking looks like overall within the tool, sort of. And yeah, coming to like fourth aspect, fourth parameter, sort of. So it is more focused on the customer support itself. Like if you are trying to incorporate the SaaS product within your process, you should not have any downside of it, or you should not have any downtime per se, because like software, some or the other way, there would be some bugs introduced, or maybe some servers they go down, things like that. So there shouldn't be any critical issue that will stop your current QA cycle. And I believe like customer support is another factor that is very key to it. And a couple of other factors, like one is integration itself, like how well the tool might be integrated within the project management tool, so that you don't have to do back and forth always when you want to create a bug and report it to the developer team or to the product team, sort of. Yeah. And final one is the access control itself. So this might not be relevant to a very small team, but as you grow within the team size, you might have to put in some sort of access control, who can create test runs, who can edit the test cases, who can update it, and then who will be able to view it, share it, comment it, and etc. All of those pieces.
Got it. I think so. Just to sum it up, what I've understood from your explanation is like UX matters a lot in terms of test case authoring. Test run management is critical so that you can unify your manual and automated test runs and get a combined view of where your testing activity stands, right, as a QA leader, right? And then reliability and performance of the platform system should not be having unannounced like downtimes or like outages, right? And then I think integrations matter for a test management offering. It should have good amount of integrations in place. Access control matters a lot so that you can control who does what with your test cases, right? And then finally, like I think customer support matters also a lot. And if a team needs to get any of the concerns addressed, you should have a quick SLAs around customer support, right? Does that sound like a quick hack to nail down the best solution out there?
Yeah, I believe that's the hack. And we did it in we did the evaluation in a Google Sheet manner itself, plain Google Sheet, adding this factor alongside with the tools, and it gave us the answer, like which tool goes best with making this decision.
Cool. Thank you so much, Arpit. I think I hope the Q&A that we did just now was insightful and helpful to our attendees to a certain extent, at least. And we will, I think, without further ado, we will uh, now unveil and go ahead with our product demo. I think a lot of interest has been around our demo. There are a lot of questions in the chat as well around our demo. So let me quickly share my screen. So this demo is going to be of BrowserStack test management. And just a quick recap, our product went live in 1 second. So this is the landing page URL. I think the link to this page will be shared in the chat, and you all can go over the details around browser test management, some of our core features, what do we offer, and what are folks saying about our product. Quickly jump into the demo piece of the product. So a quick recap of it. We went like in GA for this product in September, early September, and we started like building this product way back in December last year. And I think in a short span of time, we have gone into the GA mode, right? So, and as like when you log into browser test management, this is the first page that you see, which will have a list of all the projects that you have in your account, right? This is a demo account where I already have a lot of projects. So you see a list of projects that are showing up over here. Projects are basically larger entities where you can organize your test cases and test runs, right? So depending on how big is your org, you can have one or more projects in your account, right? And as you start your test management journey, in case you are already using an existing solution, you would want to like import your test cases from your current offering, right? Which Arpit also talked heavily about, like CSV import and quick import, right? So what we have done at BrowserStack is we have built a feature called quick import, which helps you uh, quickly migrate test cases from some of the known tools like TestRail and Zephyr. What you have to do is you have to, let's say you're using TestRail for this demo. You will have to enter your basic credentials of TestRail account, email address, TestRail host name, and TestRail API key. And we give you some kind of an hand-holding steps to locate all these credentials. You feed in these credentials, test the connection. If the test connection works fine, you click move ahead. And what this process does is it pulls in all the projects that you have in your TestRail account on the basis of the credentials, right? And you can decide what all projects you want to import, or you can just import all of them also at one shot, right? For this demo, I'll just import one of the projects from my TestRail account. I'll select apply. I've selected apply web testing project. I'll click on begin import, and my import process will continue in the background. Depending on the size of my project and depending on the test cases that my project has in my TestRail account, it might take few minutes to just complete, right? While this completes, I will quickly show you some of the existing projects that I have in my account right now. When you get inside any of the projects, you will see three tabs on the left hand side. One is the dashboard, second is test cases, third is test runs, right? And I can navigate across one or more projects from this drop down here. Now, test cases is a page where you will be able to do test case authoring. You'll be able to create test cases, store test cases, organize them into different folders and buckets, which I'll be showing you. Test runs is for managing your or creating your manual or automated test runs. And dashboards is what we are seeing right now is the page which gives you the complete analysis of where you stand in terms of your ongoing test runs or how's your test case health, right? Now, I think I can also see the progress of the test run. Quick import, it is all right now ongoing, and we hope to see it completing soon. I think I'll quickly go inside the test cases page, and I'll show you the test case authoring experience. So I have right now a lot of folders on the left hand side. I can like drag, drop, and reposition my viewport to adjust it according to my needs. I have like test cases organized in different folders and subfolders. I can go ahead and create a new folder. Right? These folders are going to show up at the end, and then I can inside any of the new folder that I create, I can go ahead and create some test cases in on quick fashion, right? So our test case authoring is like super fast. This is a quick addition of test case. If you want to go ahead and do a detailed test case addition, you can click on the create test case button and have a detailed test case form that you can fill out here. It is well structured and organized depending on what matters to the QA teams most on the left hand side, and some of the other good to have things defined on the right hand side. You have two templates that we support right now, text and steps. If I go ahead and just choose the steps template, I can assign multiple steps to my test case. Let's say in this case, I test case detailed. I can also define some preconditions for my test case. I can define some of the steps and expected results. Just for the sake of quick demo, I'm copy pasting the same stuff in every block. I can choose the status of this test case, whether it is active, deprecated, or let's say in draft state for by default. Who is the owner of this test case? What is the priority of my test case? I can define some of the custom fields as well for most of these parameters through CSV import, right? What is the type of test case? So by default, it's other. I can choose to say that it's an accessibility test case or whatever it is. Automation status, by default, it is not automated. I can choose to mark it as automated once it gets automated. I can define tags. I can link Jira issues as well with my test case. I can also create a new Jira issue in case I find like there is a new Jira altogether that I want to log. I can go ahead and create a new Jira issue as well, right, from the same flow. I can upload attachments while creating test case. And these are some of the custom fields that I already have in my test case form. You can go ahead and fill them as well, right? So my detailed test case is created with TC3466 number, and you can see these are the test case that are showing up over here, right? Now we have other like core functionalities around navigating across my test case repository, like search, filter. We have filtering on the basis of owner, priority, tags, and we are adding other fields such as automation status and test case type very soon, right? I can also do a quick search of test case on the basis of test case ID or title, right? Now, with this being covered, I'll quickly talk about CSV import as well. You can import your test cases. Let's say I go back. I'll have this new folder right now in front of you. I want to, let's say, create test cases through CSV import. I have a sample CSV file which I can just import for this demo. And let me show you the file as well. Right, so this is the CSV file that I have right now. It has some of the predefined columns like test case ID, title, folder in which I want to store my test case, state of the test case, tags, steps, results, and some of the custom fields like last owner, platform, which by default the system did not have. So BrowserStack test management has a very smart CSV parsing mechanism, which lets you create dynamic custom fields on the fly, right? Now I'll import this CSV file in my import flow, and I can click on proceed. I can see that there is automatic mapping that has happened from my incoming CSV fields, CSV columns to my BrowserStack test management fields, right? And some of the new fields that are not recognized by the system, they are automatically created as custom fields, right? If I wish to like customize my mapping, I can go ahead and do that. Let's say I want to drop some of the incoming fields and I'm not interested in adding them into my test case. I can just drop these fields, right? You can click on proceed. And it gives you a quick preview of what you're trying to import. You can just be doubly sure of the formatting and mapping of the test case that you're importing. Click on import test cases. and you're done. So inside my new folder, I have all these test cases that are quickly added within few seconds, right? I can go inside and this is the test case that has come from my CSV import with all the Jira issues, owner of the test case, steps, preconditions, if at all they are defined, and so on and so forth, right? So as you can see, we have invested a good amount of time in making sure that it should be seamless for you to switch from your current existing solutions. It could be a specialized tool that you might be already using like Testel or Zephyr, or it could be a CSV import as well in case you already are using Excel sheets, right? I think, yeah, so with this being covered, I'll quickly jump to test runs. Now test run is a flow where I can have both manual and automated runs showing up together. So this page gives you a quick snapshot of what are my ongoing test runs in my account right now, right? And who's the owner of those test runs, right? There could be more than one assignees for those test runs. I can show you a quick manual run. By default you see a test run name that is showing up over here. I can dump in some of the test cases from my repository while creating this test run. I can directly either select the entire folder, or I can also select these test cases on the basis of some filtering, right? For the sake of simplicity, I've just added these two folders in my test case, and I can see these are 50 test cases that are getting added. And for my test run as well, I can have some state of my test run, whether it's in progress, under review, rejected, or done. I can attach tags with my test runs, or I can also attach my Jira issues at a test run level, right? Now I have a test run, manual test run that I created just now for you, and I can go inside these test runs. I can like start assigning results to these test runs on a bulk basis. I can like write some notes also, and I can upload some proof as well of my testing, right? And again, if let's say this would have been a failed result, then I could have logged a Jira issue as well, right? So I can file, like, so 3 test cases are passed with results being logged here and the proof also being uploaded for any particular person in the org to look at and draw a reference of how the testing was done, right? Now this is around the manual testing, right? And for test runs as well, you have like filters in place. You can search and filter test cases within the test runs as well, right? Now, how about like automated test runs, right? So there are 2 mechanisms through which you can import your automated test runs in BrowserStack Test Management. One is either you upload your JUnit XML file, which is a standard report which every test automation framework supports. And more details around that are available on our documentation pages. We have listed on all the possible automation frameworks that are fairly popular and how can you go ahead and generate JUnit XML file from these frameworks, and then just go ahead and hit our curl endpoint and import these JUnit files, right? Once you do that, you will be able to see these automated test runs coming up as automated runs, and inside those runs, you will be able to see the test cases that are automatically imported from your JUnit file, right? And the good part is once this import happens, these test cases will automatically be determined to be automated, and they will sit in your test cases repository in the automation folder, right? And Arpit was talking about tracking the unified picture of what is my automation coverage, right? And I'll be talking about that in the dashboards in a bit. And this kind of centralized tracking of both your manual test cases and automated test cases in a single view gives QA teams a good visibility around how many automated test cases are getting added on a daily basis and how many manual test cases exist in your system, right? And what you should aspire to achieve in terms of automation, right? So apart from JUnit XML upload, the other approach of importing your automated test runs is by integration through our sister product, which is BrowserStack Test Observability, right? So some of the runs that you see here, which are coming with these icons, these are the runs that we have imported through BrowserStack Test Observability. And BrowserStack Test Observability is powered by BrowserStack SDK, which works seamlessly across multiple frameworks like TestNG, WebDriver.io, Mocha. All you have to do is you have to just install the BrowserStack SDK and run your tests. And through that SDK, the results or the build runs, they go to Test Observability. And because Test Observability is natively integrated with BrowserStack Test Management, all your observability runs will start showing up over here as separate automated runs, right? So I have some of these automation runs that are showing up over here from observability, and we have tight integration with BrowserStack Observability. I can directly jump from this build run of this test run to the corresponding builder in BrowserStack test observability, right? So BrowserStack test observability is basically a tool that gives you detailed test reports around debugging and more automation insights around how many tests are flaky, how many tests are uniquely identified in your automation flows, right? It's again a wonderful tool that you can explore along with BrowserStack test management, right? Now, along with the overall build run picture, I can go inside any of the test case and I can quickly go to the corresponding test case in BrowserStack test observability through deep integration, right? So what this integration does is it takes me to the detailed view of that particular test case execution, where I can do a time travel of how that execution happened, detailed logs, screenshots, videos of execution that I can refer, any of the reruns that are happening of those test executions in this test observability tool, right? So these are the two ways through which you can integrate your automation flows. And I think with this being covered, let's quickly jump to the dashboards. We have a dashboard where you can get a quick glimpse of your ongoing test runs. You have, and without a breakup of what are the test cases that are passing, failing. You have a breakup of how many test runs that the organization has closed in the past few months. How has the activity of testing been for last couple of days, specifically on a day-by-day basis? How many test cases were passing, failing? Down below, you have a very important metric around automation coverage. And it has a clear takeaway for any QA leader out there to understand that what are the targets that you want to set for your team to increase automation coverage, right? And then type of test cases, what kind of test cases you are storing in your repository, some of the trends around how your test cases are evolving, how your manual test cases are rising, how your automated test cases are rising, and some of the other subcategories. And down below are your Jira issues that you can also track on a historical basis. And so this is something which like customers are like giving rave reviews about. And I think very quickly, I'll also talk about a Jira app. We have a strong integration with Jira, and you can go to Atlassian Marketplace and install the Jira app by clicking on BrowserStack integration for Jira and just install it from here. Once you install the Jira app, you'll be like all sorted to start linking your test cases and test runs from BrowserStack test management, right? So when I go to my test cases, I can see that for any of my test case, I have a link to Jira option. I can click on link to Jira and start writing my test case IDs here, or Jira issue IDs. And once I do that, my corresponding Jira app will have a linked test case that will show up over here, and also the linked test runs that will show up, right? And I can go ahead and assign results for those test cases from here itself, right? I can navigate back from my Jira app to my test management tool as well. So we give you like a strict two-way Jira binding through this kind of an option, right? Yeah, so you can see that we have come back to this, right? Yeah, I think quickly, like I think winding up the demo, we will talk about the roadmap ahead, and we'll also quickly jump to the Q&A session in a bit. So this is the roadmap for BrowserStack test management. These are the things that we have recently launched. These are the features that we are launching this month, right? Ability to mark results for individual test cases in a steps-driven template. How can you copy test cases from one project to another project? Some of the admin panel of functionalities around defining custom fields, more detailed reports, which you can download in CSV or PDF format. And coming few months, we are launching support for you to create test runs through APIs. You'll be able to also group test runs under test plans. Some of the test case history that you can visualize to know who changed the test cases, right? Customizable dashboards and advanced RBAC, right? I think with this being said, we will have a quick poll also showing up now on your screens. One more poll that will show up. Request you to just fill it up. It help us gauge your interest in exploring BrowserStack test management in detail. We'll just wait for a few seconds. All right, I think we will start with the Q&A now. I think we can open the floor, Arpit, to look at some of the. I think there are a lot of questions that are asked by folks, and we'll start like picking up some of the questions and see if we can answer them. I think, Arpit, I can see that there's the first question by Ravi, which is not answered by us so far, is what are potential features which it has extra on top of regular HP, ALM, TestTail, and Jira? So, Arpit, you want to take that up? What do you find differentiating in BrowserStack test management?
Yeah, I think the first feature that I liked was about the dashboard itself, the stats that it shows out, like what's automated, what are the types of testing aspects that we want to see, uh, are in our repository, so that we can identify whether to add out more sort of testing aspect within our QA processes. So that is one key factor. And then automation side, we already talked about, like what's the coverage and what are the other things. And I believe, I think the Jira integration of test report linking. So it takes the uh, burden of your integration with the Jira separately that you want to do with your test management tool. So basically, as Ankur showcased us, right, in the demo, that when you try to link a test runs from Jira ticket, you can do it directly. And when you want to link it from test management tool, you can also do that, and it will update directly onto the Jira side. So these are like couple of features that I found really on top of the regular tools that we use.
So thanks, Arpit. I think the next question is around what are the challenges that you have faced while developing it? So I think I can take that up. Yeah, it's a very interesting question from Ruchita. Ruchita, thanks for asking it. So I think if I introspect, one of the biggest challenges that we faced was how can we make it seamless for folks to switch from their existing setup of test management, right? It could be an Excel sheet, um, uh, which probably will work good enough for smaller teams, right? But as teams grow, Excel sheets become difficult to manage, right? So what kind of experience we want to build for our CSV import flows, right? And how can I make it seamless and easier for you to switch from test scale, Zephyr scale, and with a click of a button, help you get started from the next day onwards itself, right? So these are the things that we really brainstormed a lot on and investigated a lot on. And to add to that, what are the metrics that QA teams would most importantly want to see in the dashboards, right? So we did a lot of customer interactions, like hundreds of customer interview calls we did, and on the basis of that, we figured out what are some top 3 or 4 burning issues which QA teams want to address and check, right? So and from there, that analysis we derived that ongoing test on executions, test case health, some kind of a trend of how my test case repository is evolving. All that was like missing in most of the tools out there. None of the tools out there show you this kind of beautiful trend of how your repository is evolving, how your manual test cases are growing, how your automated test cases are growing, what is your automation coverage looking like. We could not find any solution out there which is doing it in a simple, crisp manner like how we are trying to do. And we are open to for any further feedback as we engage with more and more customers, right? I think, does it integrate with Zoho? No, right now we do not have any integration with Zoho, but Nick, I think, would like to understand what is the exact use case around Zoho integration. Feel free to uh, probably text us more about the question here. I think Nisha has a question on, could you please give us a glance on what are the strategies framework is the best in automation, which relies or on constantly changing requirement and frequent releases. So I think not directly probably commenting on what are the best automation frameworks out there, because that could be very subjected to one QA team to another. We have list of test automation frameworks that I talked about, like Cypress, Playwright, WebDriver IO, Mocha, TestNG, which we holistically cover, and we help you integrate your results from these automation frameworks in test management. Right. So what are the extra features that BrowserStack have compared to Jira, X-Ray for test management? Arpit, you want to take that up?
I think we might have already answered this in the above question.
So I
What
think
are the
yeah, I think the test case authoring experience is like seamless. See, Lakshmi, if you compare the two tools out there, right, and also the kind of dashboards that we have built, you will find an awesome experience. The CSV import feature, quick import feature, you'll find a lot of differentiation around the entire user experience around doing all these workflow activities. And see, browser test management is a modern and a new age tool that is solving most of these teething issues that exist in either Jira-based platforms or SaaS platforms, right? So would request you to like just try out and then see the difference for yourself, right? Uh, how specifically this can help in API testing? Please elaborate. So I think, yeah, API testing, you can perform API testing on in your CI/CD pipeline if you're doing API testing automation, and you can integrate the results from your API testing. Let's say you're using REST Assured for API testing, right? You can generate the JUnit XML file from REST Assured framework, and import the same and track how your API testing is looking like, right? And all that API test cases will show up with the corresponding result. I think that should solve the API testing kind of a use case for test management, right?